Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to formally introduce somebody whose footage you've no doubt been watching a hell of a lot over the last few days, and this is Mr. Fingal. We did bring Finn in. We've been talking for months now. Now, I got to pre-warn you that Finn is Scottish, and that might upset some of the viewers. Hello, Finn.
That was hurtful. Don't know why that happened.
It was hurtful. You're not full Scottish, though, which is really nice.
Just a little bit. Just enough.
Just enough. So we were very fortunate, actually, because one, I didn't think I was going to get I mean, I guess we can reveal this now, Finn.
Can we?
I think so. I think so. So I begged and pleaded with Blizzard to maybe say, look, we have this guy. He's going to be helping us make all the content for Shadowlands. Is it entirely possible? Please, God, can we try and get him an alpha key? And it's going to be a good thing if we could do that. They said, look, alpha keys are so limited. Like, there's not much we could do. I'll pass the message on. Give me his email. I'll pass the message on. What happened, Finn?
I got access. Yeah. It was really easy. Yeah.
And I didn't. Correct. Because in the message, there was a confusion as to whose email it was. And I sat there with no access. And you're going, yeah, I got mine. Logging in. Installing. And I'm going... what the fuck? And I went down this road of, they just read, because mine said preach on it. So I was like, they've read it as preach. They don't want me in. They don't know your email, so they're fine with that. And it turned out that, no, they confused it with mine. So I'm not even sure you would have got an invite. I think we actually got extremely lucky.
No, I think the email thing happened.
Paid off.
I think they saw who you were, and then they only gave it to you once Sloot kicked off. That's what I'm sticking with.
No, we got very far. You're only saying this because Mr. Ian Hazakostas liked one of our videos that we have released, and it was the one that was mainly down to you, and nothing really to do with me. I presented your information regarding the Shadow Priest, which is still a good thing. But we did, thanks to Josh and to Sloot, who actually got in contact really quickly. Mr. Law was like, you're definitely somebody we wanted to get in first. Like, I don't know what's happened. Is this not your email? And I saw your email. And I was like, you piece of crap. I was getting ready to get in the car and drive to Scotland to start playing Shadowlands. I'm moving in, dude.
Spare bedroom's ready. Fine.
Spare bedroom is ready. But we have been, as you guys have seen, we have covered, we've managed in 1 week to cover every single class. And each one, and each spec has taken hours of looking at in order to, I mean, we've capped everything, right? Everything's 53, pretty much.
Not from my side. I got bored of a couple. But we'll get to those, I guess.
We are getting to that. We are here to discuss the best and worst at this point. We are capped. Let's put the restrictions in place. We are capped to level 53. We do not have access to all the Covenant abilities. Yeah, it seems pretty apparent to both me and Finn that there are classes we really, really, really like and potential new mains. And there are classes we're not big fans of at all. Let's go into our best and worst here. I think we're both in the position, unless I'm mistaken, that we're both looking to probably drop our main characters from BFA due to the Shadowlands changes. Would I be right?
Yes. Yeah, very much. Yeah.
So you are a Shadow Priest on Shadow Priest main.
Yes.
Although one of the reasons we did talk about you coming in is you play a huge amount of alts at a very high level. Typically, it's your shaman.
I tend to play just
for the most
random terrible classes like Survival Hunter and Enhancement Shaman and all the stuff that's.
I have seen you raiding on Survival recently. That's true. But you were a warlock for the longest time. I think throughout all of Legion you were a warlock when I first
for
met
about
you.
6 years, I think.
Yeah, 6 years of warlock. You've been playing a lot of hunter. I see you only DH a lot. So multi-classer was what I was looking for anybody who's going to share input on these things, because obviously that's what we needed the most. But dropping the Shadow Priest unless significant change. And we have put that message out there.
Absolutely. I know I memed a little bit in the Torghast run that we did the other night that Disc feels like a better DPS than Shadow does. But it is true. It just, yeah, there's no way I'm playing that spec just now.
Finally, a worthy opponent. Our battle will be legendary.
Well, before we get into the done, because I'm going to probably drop Druid as well, before we get into those, what's looking the best for you? Let's do one for one, and why?
Windwalker is my favorite right now.
Why?
It's so fun, man. I know it's like controversial and a lot of people don't like it, but I really like hit combo. I like having to think about your rotation, what you've pressed last, what you're pressing next. I know weak auras makes it a little bit less impactful, but base UI and stuff like that on Alpha. It's super fun to keep track of. The spinning crane kick proc is insane.
The dance of Shiji.
It's so fun. It does so much damage just now, and it'll obviously get fixed because it's ridiculous. But it gives you like another option for Mythic Plus in particular, I think. So yeah, I think it feels really good having Zuen back as like a little DPS.
Actually, I like Zuen, but you know, I was reading through after we made the video, because I tries to not get as influenced as much as possible. I went and checked some of the feedback that's been officially posted, and so many people are shitting on Zuen. Like, oh, he doesn't do much. He doesn't do anything. I don't know. I don't think I said this in the video, I don't think every DPS cooldown needs to be some sort of puzzle. You know? It does. I don't think it needs to work that way. Sometimes I just want to be able to DPS more than I am doing. And throwing out Zuen and getting him to go at it, I'm fine with. Whereas a lot of people are like, yeah, he's just boring. I'm like, he's a lightning tiger. He's not boring.
You get to summon a lightning tiger to fight with you for a bit. Like, come on. Pretty awesome.
That's fine. It's cool. He's really cool. I liked seeing that chicken diving around when I was a healer, and I'd like seeing a lightning tiger get involved. I think that's cool too. But we're both big fans of Windwalker. Awesome. A lot of people still afraid though of the scaling though, right, Finn? Like they're always getting compared to the Demon Hunters. They're getting compared to the DKs. I mean, DKs are now bringing Anti-Magic Zone, which is like crazy powerful right now in Shadowlands. Demon Hunters are universally great at every single thing that ever existed, so they're fine, but not really seeing that utility coming from the Brewmaster, from the Windwalker, sorry.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that might be the problem. When it comes down to like getting a raid spot, it might not be the best shout just now. I think that what impacts Windwalker quite a lot just now is that Brewmaster is really, really good. And at the moment on live, Mistweaver is actually really good. So the debuff is applied by another spec as well. I think if the tanking situation changed and you didn't bring a Brewmaster, then Windwalker could have a spot because it does decent damage. There's no problem with its DPS, and it plays really fun. I'd love to play it. At the moment in Alpha, it's my favorite by a substantial chunk.
I would really love to see them gain the backs. It is their kind of talented, the Fist of the White Tiger, but I would love for that to become baseline again. That hard-hitting punch. I'm not a fan of Fist of Fury too much. I think it just seems to last too long for me to be out of the flow of Windwalker, because Windwalker has a really good flow to it, especially with like you said, mixing up the attacks. You tend to feel like that Bruce Lee character, right? That's the whole idea they're going for. And the Fist of Fury for me just lasts a little too long. I would like that to be maybe modified. But I would really love back something like we had Strike of the Windlord in Legion, where you just kind of chunked into them, and you got a good chunk of combo points to mess around with, Chi, to play with. I would like some changes there, but you're not wrong. And it's always been fun, though. That's the thing with Windwalker, is like it's always been fun. But it just never seems to get where it needs to be. They were pretty good at the end of Legion. We saw a lot of really solid Windwalkers. Yeah, but they're not bringing anything defining.
I think it...
And I hope that doesn't hold them back.
Yeah, I think the end of Legion is like Legendary Helm was really big for them as well. And I'm hoping that perhaps the Legendaries in Shadowlands have a similar effect and make it sort of viable. That would make me really happy.
I can't wait to test them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we could be talking about things today, and this is why I wanted to do this, is so we're at level 53, this is the bases. What are we going to be like once there's legendaries in here and we're crafting these things? And like, does that alter the gameplay entirely? Does that really mix up the classes? Are we going to get legendaries that actually provide talents passively, like we're seeing in Torghast? Things along those lines. Who knows where that's going to take us? And it'd be interesting to see whether in a week or 2 weeks' time we're sat here saying Windwalker's crap.
Yeah, maybe. Might happen.
Rise from your grave.
My favorite so far, I think, is going to be the Unholy DK, though. I don't know if you had a chance to play it, but I am really pushing for Unholy DK. It's not got much change, but it has got more of its theme back. And when I showed it on stream, I was like, look, this kind of plays the same as Unholy in BFA. Don't get me wrong, it plays kind of the same. But these little tweaks that they've done, mixing up the ghouls, giving you Gargoyle back. I said, just look at what I'm doing right now. I'm throwing down army. I'm using Apocalypse to summon more bros. And then I'm throwing a Gargoyle on top of it. I said, this is the class fantasy for me of an Unholy DK. And it feels awesome that I'm the person plaguing these diseases as these rotting corpses go into it. And mixing in AMZ into there as well, so I now have that really solid utility. I'm so hoping that we get a good Covenant ability to go along with it, and I want to play it even though it's capped. I can't level it anymore, but I want to play it anyway. It's something I definitely recommend that you check out if you haven't done already.
Yeah, I need to. When they brought Gargoyle back, that was a big thing for me. I missed that a lot, so I'm definitely going to try it. Yeah, it just seems kind of nuts. It looks really fun.
It does. It is nuts. Yeah, like what you can stack up because you feel like you're doing it. You know when we have, and I'm sure you can appreciate this as a Shadow Priest on live. You have a moment where you need to just destroy. That needs to happen, and you can set that up in a way that works. Like this is the point. So for a rogue, maybe it's like I need to go into this big shadow dance with a full slice and dice, a full energy bar, and ready to destroy, right? I don't need to apply anything other than to kill here, and I'm going to set up all my cooldowns so I can plow into this. And Unholy has that, and it's something I really love. Whereas, you know, I mean, like I said, you'll know about this. Sometimes, like as a Shadow Priest, what you're really trying to plan a massive Void Farm to hit at the exact right time, but that's kind of your limitation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's definitely, yeah, I guess we'll get to the classes we don't like fairly soon, but like that's that's what I like about a lot of these classes is that there's clear like agency for you to do well if you know how to play the class well, which is new because I didn't feel that way in BFA for most things, to be honest. So I'm happy that they've brought that sort of mindset back. I'll need to try Unholy DK. I tried Frost, but I've not tried Unholy yet.
Well, Frost is Frost.
Yeah, it's the same.
Like, if you've played Frost before, it's the same as it is now. And I think people are really like, two-handers back, how's Frost? I'm like, it's Frost.
It's Frost with a bigger sword.
You've got... Yeah, it's Frost. Like, and I know you guys wanted more out of it, but it's Frost. It's just got a two-handed weapon instead, which I think for a lot of people will be fine with that. It's not a bad spec. It's Frost. It's just the same as it is. It's been pretty good, actually. Nice to see that Blizzard isn't trying to fix what's not broken. There's lots of classes that we've talked about. It's like, it's kind of the same, right? I think our assassination video is like a minute long. Like, it's the same spec. Like, there's nothing different here except the Kyrian ability that's gone with it, right? It's just the same. There's nothing else for me to tell you. That's why we do the quick looks in the first.
Do not rely on strength alone. My power is all around you.
Ida DK, what's your next favorite? Let's do a top three.
Oh, it's so close. Both the shaman specs.
Oh,
Both
the shaman specs?
Both the shaman specs, the DPS ones, are amazing. They're both really good.
Interesting.
You know how I feel about Ellie on live.
I do.
Because I've had to play it on a couple of progress fights, and I did not enjoy it.
Our audience doesn't. Please share.
Yeah, I had to play it on Unat because it was broken on Unat.
Oh, you did play Shaman on Unat. Yeah, you were Ellie on Unat. I remember.
And I don't really enjoy the playstyle of Ellie at the moment because you basically, your Maelstrom doesn't mean anything. You just do lava burst damage. Like, that's pretty much all that happens. But removing that into Shadowlands has made quite a big difference. And Fulmination is much better than Maelstrom for your Earthshock charges. And the Chain Lightning into Earthquake interaction is also really good. The Echo and Shock, the new talent, is so fun. And I know we played like the start of the Ellie video where you can Echo and Shock into Stormkeeper and you can cast Chain Lightning 4 times in one spell. It's just so satisfying. It's ridiculous.
To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
So, my next favorite warrior. Oh my god. I you know what? We're both casters for the primarily in BFA, both of us. I could not give two shits about casters right now. Like, at all. And I kind of feel bad about that. Is every caster I've played compared to every melee has just felt like arse. Especially when it's come to Torghast. But the warrior, this was the first time, especially arms was my favorite of the specs. Really felt like they managed to sort the two-hander out so it feels meaty. It was a little strange for a while that playing two-handed didn't feel like you were good with a two-hander. It felt kind of weak sauce. But this feels like they've got it. Every ability you cast as arms now feels like you're swinging an actual big giant two-hander with the strength of the Titans, you know?
Yeah, it looks awesome. I played around with Fury a little bit this morning, and I love Fury still, but I need to try Arms.
Oh, we'll go try Arms. Yeah, go try Arms. You'll be like, oh, Fury sucks, which it doesn't. But comparatively, like I played Fury first, the same as you did, and I was like, this is such a fun spec. It really is. It feels amazing. It feels bloodthirsty. It's fast. It's interesting. I cannot wait to get into Torghast on a warrior. And then I switched over to Arms, which I remember doing the Arms testing at the beginning of BFA and thinking, it's a little slow, it's a little clunky, nothing feels weighty. And they fixed that from the ground up. And it does help that their curing ability creates the meat grinder, which I'm sure you've tried around. Throwing the spear, going into Blade Storm, dropping Ravager on top of it, and you're literally shredding, the dungeon to pieces. I'm sure the damage is going to be nerfed, but that is a good feel for now while it lasts. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Bravo 6. Going dark.
So what is your next? Your third.
God.
What's your third? We've had Windwalker and Shaman.
Yeah.
Go.
Marksman Hunter.
Yeah?
So,
is it just because of the damage?
No, so, right, there's going to be loads of people that are angry about this, right? Because it's like, Marksman Hunter's rubbish. But I quite like the long cast aim shots and the, like, impactful hits of aim shot, right? And
I 100% agree, and I've also had so much abuse for it over the years. But it feels like you're taking aim. That's what it's supposed to be doing.
And I like trick shot. I understand that trick shot has problems because it only works on 3 targets, right? So if you have a boss fight that spawns an ad, useless, right? I get that.
Yep.
But in dungeons, volley, trick shot, aim shot, it's like super satisfying. And I was having a lot of fun in the dungeon with the crit amplifier from the carrying ability into volley. Yeah. Volley now procs trick shot for you, so you can aim shot, then multi-shot again, then aim shot again. It feels so good. I'm not...
And that's all it matters, so I mean, is how it plays. Like, the numbers I'll take later, and if something turns out to be bad, that's on Blizzard to fix, damage-wise. But is it fun? That's all that matters to me right now. Is this a fun thing to play?
I think it's really fun. Subjective opinion. That's my...
Of course, always.
That's my
subjective opinions.
That's my disclaimer for the Discords that'll get angry at me. But I think it's really, really satisfying to play.
All right, I'm going to try that out. I haven't done Hunter yet. I left it to you. I'm going to come back to Hunter. Now we've got a couple of days free, hopefully, before Revendreth launches. I'm going to take this information you give me, because I haven't tried Shaman yet, and I haven't tried Hunter yet. So I'm looking forward to playing those as well and get them leveled up.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Let's do the worst specs we played then. Which ones were just like, you should start here, because it's no secret.
I mean, Shadow Priest is the worst spec on Alpha. There's no way it isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that's like an opinion. It's just broken. It doesn't work. It's terrible.
Well, actually, this counters that, because when we posted that video, we got some tweets rather instantly saying, X streamer really liked Shadow and said it was fine.
Yeah.
And I told you that, and you went, no.
Yeah.
No.
I'd love to sit down and talk to them and figure out what they thought was fine about it. I think, basically, if you want to know how Shadow plays in Shadowlands, log on to live, take off all your Azerite gear and your neck. That's how it plays. It just doesn't work. It doesn't function. The base class has been broken for ages. If you remember what it was like in 8.0 in Ildir, it was literally like a dead spec. No one played it. For a good reason, it just didn't work. And throughout BFA, they've sort of bolted on fixes to the class that have made it function kinda to the point where 8.2 it was kind of broken, but they just can't seem to get it right. I don't know what it is. I think it's Void Form.
I think it's Void Form. Yeah, I think it's Void Form too. I think they had an idea for Void Form in Legion, and it was really good, and it worked, but it went too far, and they've been trying to figure out how to make it work without the end goal being possible. So they're on a journey with it where the end goal is this, and they had that in Legion, and it worked. But now they haven't got that end goal anymore, which is the actual full-on insanity craziness. And so they keep trying to fit it in somewhere. Like, how do we make this work for something that doesn't make sense at the end?
Yeah. It's just, it's broken. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's pure broken. Let's see what they do with it, though. They have, obviously, we do know that they are paying attention to what's going on with that. So we'll see. We'll keep our peepers on Shadow, and we'll come back to it whenever we can.
Your magic is weak, wizard.
For me, overall as well, I went back and, you probably saw, I actually went back and played around with Mage a little bit. And all three of the mages, I was just so disappointed in all three. Especially Fire. I'm a little surprised that it feels like they based a lot of their decisions on the 8.3 Fire Mage. And the 8.3 Fire Mage is a very badly designed character with a lot of really good stuff strapped onto it to make it decent, right? It's like taking a really crappy LoL character and getting perfect items. And by the end, it's fine. You know, late game, it works. But the base character needs some carrying and it needs some support in order to get stuff working. And playing Fire, especially... I wanted the clip. I'll tell you why I went back and played it, is we have that clip of you popping Big Combust on the boss. And then the ad spawn and you can't spread Ignite. So I wanted to put it side by side with me actively holding back a Fire Blast during combustion, which felt awful, just so I could do that and see how much damage, you know, with difference is happening. And I got like a 400 Ignite on those ads, which seems probably crazy in BFA numbers, but in Shadowlands, that's enormous.
Yeah, it feels terrible, Fire.
It feels awful.
The thing about Fire, I thought when I was playing it, was like, I think it might be a relatively easy fix. Because it's pretty clear that you should not spread your Ignite with Fire Blast. Like, that just...
Yes.
It's counterintuitive. You need to have another spell that does that. So whether you create a new spell that just says, like, Ignite spread spell number 1, like whatever it's called, you need to have something else that spreads your Ignite if they're going to go down that route. Or they just need to cap Ignite
works.
And make it just cleave.
Here's the thing. It thematically doesn't make sense. Things are on fire and walking past. It should probably set on fire as well, right? That makes some sort of sense. It feels like they're trying to get the best of both worlds. One where combustion was based on your current Ignite. So the way you used to make it was that, you know, you would get as many dots on the target, many powerful dots on the target as possible. So you'd have your Fireball dot, your Pyroblast dot, and you would have other dots that you could apply at the time. I forget the names of them right now. And then, depending on how powerful they were, you activated Combustion, and that rolled all your dots into one new dot. And then you could spread that with Fireblast, right? And that's how that system used to work, is you would suck up all the dots into Combustion, and then you were able to spread Combustion. Then they moved it over to the way Combustion is now, which is the guaranteed crit and the mastery buff, of course, which then changed how we did Combustion. And it was fine. And now they're trying to have the best of both, which is like, well, we want players to control the spread, which is what we used to do, like we used to do with Combustion, but we're also going to kind of mix it into the tools, which was based on a different type of Combustion that was coming later in the game. And you can't just mix those two things together, because one uses tools to make one thing happen and the other uses tools to make another thing happen. So those tools are now trying to do multiple purpose things. And a knife is not a Swiss Army knife, right? It can't do that many different things at the same time. And it seems to fall down. So I know doing my combustion, I was just sat there like, I actually have to hold a Fire Blast here because I know it's going to help out. And I know some people are going to go, that's a skill element. Maybe, but it sucks. It's crap. Right? It's crap. It's like having to... technically, I have to stop the race because due to mechanic reasons, it actually is better for me to not win the race right now and to win it in a few seconds.
Yeah, it makes your...
even though I did everything else
your
right.
combustion so much less satisfying without being able to just fire through your Fire Blasts and get as many crits on the target as possible.
Yeah, you're scorching when you should be Fire Blasting. Like,
yeah.
The whole purpose of Combust is to do as many instant pyros as possible to get that massive Ignite, yet you're intentionally scuppering that just so you could do something, especially because it's been passive for so long. You're doing something that your character could just do for the longest time, and it feels fucking awful.
Yeah, it doesn't feel great. I think,
no.
Yeah, they could fix it. I think in the video that you've released, there's a couple of things. I think the role with Flame On, if those abilities spread Ignite, it gives you another option. So maybe you take Phoenix Flames and you use that to spread Ignite rather than Fire Blast. That might feel okay. But it just feels like
I'm not gonna lie
to take.
Just give us the Legion Fire Mage back. Like, there's too much. I mean, this is how it's gone for me for Fire and why I dropped the Mage. They went from Legion, where we had so much, And they were like, oh, okay, well, you're losing all that in BFA. And all the fire mages were like, bruh. Like, you can't just take 5 spells away from us, which is what you're doing, right? And they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll give them back to you, but we'll put them in the talent tree. It's like, that still removes 5 talents, because now we don't have 5 things that we used to have as well. This doesn't work. And they're still carrying that baggage. It feels like fire is still carrying that baggage. For me, it's like, get rid of Flame On and bake it in. Put Phoenix Flames back into the base toolkit, doing what it originally did, because that was really good and made the launch of Legion fine, because you not only had your Fire Blast, you had your Phoenix Flames as well for your combustion, giving us really satisfying combustions from the beginning that made sense. And I would have the natural spreading of Ignite.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to do that at this point. Like, you've capped it to 8 already. That's fine. That's enough. There's no need to try and overcomplicate this. Like, you've done what you need to do. We're going to lose Mechagon Braces. We're going to lose Lucid Dreams, which basically made things up to a Legion Fire Mage. Go back to that. That's what works. That's what people enjoy. It's nice, it's simple, it makes sense, and it works.
Blaster Master is what drives your damage on live, and that's gone. So it's sort of nerfed anyway, without having Blaster Master there. So yeah, it doesn't make much sense, the changes they've made. I'm not quite sure why they would.
And Blaster Master could be a talent. If they could balance it so it's not a particularly as good single target, but great if you're doing constant AoE, that works. Yeah, that works. And then we could throw Blaster Master in. I don't know. But I felt similarly about Frost and Arcane. And it wasn't in your notes, actually, because you looked at Arcane before me, and I don't know whether you noticed, but the GCD requirement for Arcane to get going piss right off. Like, that was so frustrating. It was unbelievable. It was like, Rune, Mirror Images, Rune, the other spell that you get from the Kyrian, the Kyrian base ability, then Arcane Power, charged up, then I could get started, and it's like, oh my god, I have to do like 6 things just to start doing damage, and then I look over at my warrior friends who were like, I've already on my 2nd Recklessness by the time you started. Oh, it was awful.
Yeah, it's not great. Yeah. Arcane Mage is a little bit of a weird one. I don't play it that often, so I don't know if that's how it feels just now as well. Maybe that's how it feels in BFA.
No, I played it. Did we play it in BFA? No, not really. I dropped the Mage as much as humanly possible.
I think Fetid was the last time.
Fetid wasn't BFA, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Fetid. Yeah, that would be the last time would have been Zool. I dropped my Mage as much as possible after Dazzler Law. Not Dazzler Law. Uldia. I dropped my Mage Uldia. So yeah, I did play a fair bit of Arcane. Pre-corruption, pre-essences, obviously. But it wasn't too bad then. You could set it up nicely on Fetid. You could make it work. And plus, honestly, and this is the weird thing about Arcane, we only really had to play it when you had to play it, and therefore you weren't really focused on that kind of element of the class overall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You were just focused on, what is my job here? It's to blow up these eggs, or it's to just DPS Zool, and ignore everything else, and be frustrated that everybody else is AoEing, especially the Warlocks with putting Mega Corruption up and whatever, and we're only allowed to single target, but...
And weirdly,
the GCD.
The thing that Arcane is good at that made you bring it to Fetid, it's no longer good at, because they nerfed the CD.
Yeah, why? I cannot I played Arcane for about 2 hours before I put out my thoughts, and I was like, why? I just don't get it. Like, Arcane is there to do this crazy single target mega burst on demand regularly, right? And in between that, they're just kind of looking after their mana. That's kind of the point of Arcane. You go mad, then you have this period of regen, almost, you're managing this Arcane, and then you go back into it again. And that was the whole point of the spec. That feels gone now, completely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. It just feels weird.
Yeah, if they're going to add more spells, and like Mirror Images is great to see again, but if they're going to do that, they need to sort out the GCD. Anything else you thought was really bad so far?
I mean, just a quick call out to a couple of Frost interactions that I hope are bugs, but the Winter's Chill change is kind of bad.
I tried to skip over it a little bit because the numbers are still coming out, but it does look bad.
Like having your mirror images consume the stacks. What's that about? That's
that's got to be a bug.
That feels so bad.
And that's what
I hope it's a bug. I hope it's a bug. Your orb ticks, remove it. Because there's actually a clip in the Frost video where I throw an orb out and I Winter's Chill, and then I Ice Lance into it and it's gone. My Ice Lance hits for like 200. I was like, what the hell's happened there? I didn't really figure it out until we spoke to Ross. But yeah, some of the interactions in there just seem a bit weird. I hope they're bugs. If they're not, then that class is like not playable. like at all.
Yeah, it was. I think Ross said, for reference, Ross is one of our mages from the guild who also has Alpha and has been a mage for as long as I've known him. He said he was looking at the math as well, and he was just like, some of the things that are happening now, like you can do some charge backstep to make some spells land at the exact correct point. It's already getting to the point where double Iceland seems like an idyllic scenario.
Yeah,
right?
There's going to be a lot of distance play with Frost, which is never good.
At this point, Winter's Chill makes your next 2 Icelands his critical strike. That's it. That's all that needs to happen there. Like, literally just do that. Or, Glacial Spike. Certain spells, let's put it that way, it makes certain spells shatter. But does not do anything else. If they want to get rid of the double lance, okay, this is how you do it. Just limit it to certain spells and call it a day. Instead of trying to find some really clean, nice way through it, I think you keep it simple and get it fixed along those ways.
Yeah, definitely.
Forget about the future. To suffer is to be present.
One thing I wanted to touch on before we finish up here.
I wanted to call out another bad
Of course, we are going to revisit this. Oh, go for it. Sorry, I thought you hit me.
So the more I've played around with it, including doing a Torghast run, demo.
Okay.
Demo Warlock.
Oh, really?
Oh, no. I think it needed some work, clearly, because Demo Warlock just doesn't get played pretty much anywhere. I think it's good in really high-end plus sometimes. But it just feels awful. And I think part of the problem just now, especially I did a Torghast run with it last night, is that your pets die all the time. And Blizzard have made a change into Shadowlands with all the pets, which I don't think I've called out. I probably should have done. Is that to revive a pet on Hunter and to resummon a pet on Warlock now takes 6 seconds.
Ouch.
So when you
do you not have Phoenix Down or whatever
no,
it's called?
you can't just instant res.
Phoenix Rebirth?
No, none of that stuff.
Yikes.
So what happens in Torghast in particular is if your pet dies, you die, because you're not going to be able to recast that pet. You're not going to be able to get him back up, and he gets chunked all the time, no matter which one I play. So demo feels a little bit weird in solo content just now. It doesn't feel particularly good. It takes a long ramp anyway to get going. But now that your pet just gets like absolutely trucked by everything in the world, it doesn't feel great either. And I'm not entirely sure where demo will get any play when you look at raids in particular. So that's what I focus on, obviously. But like, I just don't see how it would ever be better than Destro or Affliction at the moment.
Well, that was a lot to go over, and by no means is this done. Blizzard are listening. We've seen incredible feedback already regarding the Druids, and hopefully we're going to see something related to the Shadow Priests. As we said during the video, Ian did like our first criticism, the tweet we put out about that video. So they're paying attention, and we'll wait and see what's happening here. Thank you from both me and Finn for watching. We'll be revisiting this several times over the next few months. Goodbye.